Maybe you've heard the phrase, my layoff was a gift. I can tell you personally, a layoff is not a gift. It's awful, it's stressful, it's demoralizing, and while you can't control being laid off, you can control what you do after it happens. And that in and of itself might be the gift. Here's how my layoff unfolded. The email arrived at about 6:47 in the morning on a Tuesday, and it came to my personal address. And that's how I knew before I even opened it. Why else would my employer email my personal address? The subject line read, regarding your position. 3 paragraphs of HR approved text that boiled down to, you're done, we're keeping the laptop, and good luck out there. The severance was fine. It was nice that they didn't leave me high and dry, but let's not give them too much credit. Pretty quickly, the direct deposit that funded everything, from my kids' activities to the mortgage, the groceries, it was shut off like a faucet. So I did what any rational person does. I started applying for jobs, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. And I want to tell you how that went because there's a group of people that tell you if they got laid off, they would just go find a job, like anywhere. It ain't that easy. I applied to be a cashier at my local grocery store, nothing. Apparently, I'm not as qualified as the teenagers who work there. I applied to be a membership clerk at Costco, crickets. I even looked into going back into law enforcement, a career I left already once. 15 years of experience, and I couldn't get a call back to scan groceries. If that is demoralizing, I don't know what is. When none of that panned out, something in me shifted, and I decided to stop putting my fate in other people's hands and start doing the things that were in my control. I was going to earn money without working for somebody else. Now, that wasn't a total leap in the dark, because for a couple of years, my wife and I had been running a little farmer's market business selling candles. Funny double entendre candles. We had one called Blue Balls. It was scented like blueberry cheesecake. We had one called Down to Pound. It was lemon pound cake. And then we had Whiskey Dip, which was Kentucky bourbon. That business made a few $100s a week, and it was a great hobby business while I had a salary, but it was not so great at replacing one. But here's the thing that those candle weekends gave us that no job application ever could. A market slot, regulars who knew our faces. Every Saturday, while we were making hundreds selling candles, the food vendors next to us were making thousands. It was funny because my wife and I had a running joke that they would need an armored car to move their money away from the farmers markets. So we asked ourselves an obvious question: could we do that? And here's where I have to be honest with you, because I spend a lot of time telling people not to do what I did next. We went all in. Life savings, my retirement. I bought the equipment, started selling hot, fresh, made-to-order mini donuts. In our business, Deborah Ann does donuts. If you've read my manifesto, you know I tell people, keep the boat. Don't bet the house, know your tier. That advice exists because I burned the boat, bet the house, and skipped the tiers. And I literally survived it by luck and stubbornness as much as anything. So do as I say. But I'll also tell you what that decision felt like, because this part I wouldn't take back. A job application is essentially asking for permission to work. And so I stopped asking. I stopped asking for permission to work, and I gave myself the job. First farmers markets, then high school athletic events, then collegiate events. As we sold more places invited us. And for the first time in my working life, the thing was growing because we grew it. Somewhere in all the trial and error, we figured out that our business has 3 growth levers. And I'm going to give them to you straight. 1, location. Find the places with the most customers who are ready to buy. Markets, fairs, festivals, games. We learned the expensive way what too much rent and too few people look like. Some events, the fee eats the day before you sell a bag. 2, raise the ticket. Increase what each customer spends. That's why we added fresh squeezed lemonade and kettle corn. Same customers, same booth, more revenue streams under 110. 3, convert the walkers. Turn passers-by into buyers. Our free sample method converts better than 1 in 4. A free sample is a handshake with sugar on it. That's it. That's the strategy deck. Everything we've grown came from pulling one of those 3 levers. Now, the part the thumbnail economy leaves out. Our donut business was never going to replace a tech salary at the speed we needed it to. And the pressure I put on the business early, pressure to be something it wasn't ready to be, hurt it. And honestly, it hurt me too. And here's my truth about getting laid off from a knowledge worker job. The loss of income is brutal. The loss of identity is worse. For 15 years, "What did you do?" had a clean answer, and an email from a heartless company deleted it before breakfast. Nobody is going to remember what I did for the companies on my resume. But at the market, the kids point at the trailer. My customers seek us out week after week. My kids have handed a bag of donuts to our customers across the table themselves. People love to say a layoff is a gift. It isn't. Mine was corporate math. But it did force the question I'd been avoiding. What do I actually want to build? What do I want my legacy to be? As Steve Jobs said, how do I make my dent in the universe? What kind of work do I want my kids to remember me doing? The handshake economy gave me something I actually own. Now, the work is harder, the income is less predictable, but the neighborhood knows my name now. And that's a different kind of wealth, and nobody can lay it off.